Our prayer this morning is by Maureen Killeran. Spirit of all blessing, be with us in the ordinariness of our days. May hope's light guard us and keep cynicism from our hearts. May the energy of laughter build endurance for the dark times of our lives. May creativity's vision grant the possibility of seeing old relationships with new eyes. May the oil of healing keep us from anger's hardness or despair. May the mantle of humility give courage to admit when we are wrong. May compassion's loom weave in us the discipline to forgive. May patience help us bear in mind that ours is not the only scale of time. May the flame of justice be a beacon for the choices we must make. May peace be ever in us and sustain our stressful days. Spirit of all blessing, be with us in the ordinariness of our days. Amen. Place I did. Can you see the pictures? Okay. Once there was a little girl named Sarah who sometimes had terrible, good-for-nothing days. She had one of those days just a week before her birthday. Nothing had gone right. And by the time she came home from school, Sarah was very grumpy. Do you ever have grumpy days? Yeah. She's looking grumpy. Mommy took one look at her and said, "Sarah, who are you frowning at?" "Nobody," mumbled Sarah. "Well," said Mommy, "tell me about school today. Who passed out the crackers at snack time?" "Nobody," grumbled Sarah. Mommy thought for a minute. Then she said, "If nobody passed out the crackers, then nobody spilled the crackers. So nobody had to pick them up. That nobody must have been very busy today." Sarah scowled. Then she began to smile as she imagined a funny nobody doing all those things. "What does nobody look like?" asked Mommy. "Can you draw me a picture?" Sarah got out her best pencil and a big piece of paper. This is the picture she drew. After that, nobody was with Sarah all the time. On Saturday, who do you suppose came to play with Sarah? Nobody. Sarah told nobody stories and sang songs to nobody. She had a tea party, and nobody was invited. On Sunday, Sarah looked all over the house for her doll Ellis. Nobody had hidden her, so Sarah found Ellis right where she had left her. On Monday, who waited for the school bus with Sarah? Nobody. While Sarah waited, she had nobody to talk to. On Tuesday, Miss Fosdick said, "Nobody is sick today." All the children cheered, except for Sarah. She felt sorry for nobody. How would you feel if everyone was glad that you were sick? On Wednesday, Sarah bumped her elbow. It hurt and she started to cry. Daddy said, "Listen, who's crying?" Sarah listened quietly. Who do you suppose was crying then? Nobody, of course. On Thursday, Sarah was in a hurry. She left her room in a mess. Guess who helped clean up when she came home from school? Nobody. On Friday, when Sarah was tucked in bed for the night, she heard funny noises. She thought she saw the curtain move, but Sarah wasn't frightened. She knew nobody was there. Nobody. Saturday was Sarah's birthday. She had friends over for cake and ice cream. They brought her some very nice presents. It was a wonderful party. After everyone had gone home, Sarah looked at all of her new things and noticed a gift that nobody had wrapped. She opened it up, and guess what? Nobody was inside. Sarah was very happy. Now nobody was really somebody. And you know, I opened a box once when I was your age. And who was inside? Nobody. This is what nobody looks like. My mom made that for us when we were younger because we loved that book, Nobody, so much. Isn't it funny? Anyway, I hope you like that story too, and that you like Nobody. I loved that story, Nobody, when I was little. It's nice to have an imaginary friend to keep us company, isn't it? It's also nice to have someone else to blame for the messy room or the spilled crackers. When your mom or your wife comes across something that makes her angry and says, "Who did this?" It's nice to be able to say, "Nobody." It doesn't always work, though, especially as you get older. We like to pass the buck, but sometimes it's important to fess up and take some personal responsibility for our own mistakes and messes. It's hard, though, to be honest about our shortcomings. It's hard, isn't it? And what's really hard is to look back at a situation that we completely blame on someone else and realize that we probably played a part in it too, even if we are not entirely responsible. So often we are the hero of our own story, and we see life through our own experience and lens and emotional reactions. Of course we do. So looking back over our stories with a different perspective and curiosity can be a really challenging task. Step 4 in the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step program asks that participants do just that. Step 4. Make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. There are many aspects to a moral inventory. You chart out your resentments. You list your own flaws and weaknesses. You inventory your fears and worries. You review your own conduct and any harm that you've caused. You assess your gratitude. All of this involves looking at the places that we are feeling stuck in our lives and using a deeper understanding of our own role to move beyond that stuckness. Because in the end, even if nobody did it, even if nobody is to blame, the only person we can change is ourselves. Making a searching and fearless moral inventory. It's a powerful step for those in recovery programs, but it's also a powerful step for any of us who are on a spiritual journey, which is to say, all of us. In the book Mindful Loving, 10 Practices for Creating Deeper Connections, Henry Grayson writes, "If you are a spiritually minded person, then you believe in love. You believe in giving it unconditionally, without strings attached. You believe that the state of happiness is natural and right. You try not to judge or blame or criticize. You assume responsibility for your part in the world and your effect on it. You have a sense of your interconnectedness with the divine essence of all that is. I don't think we would be here if we weren't trying to be spiritually minded people. So the task then is to assume responsibility for our part in the world and our effect on it, to see the interconnectedness and to recognize it as holy, even if it is sometimes painful. It's a task that will probably take a lifetime. In her poem, Transcendental Etude, Adrienne Rich writes, "No one ever told us we had to study our lives, make of our lives a study, as if learning natural history or music, that we should begin with the simple exercises first and slowly go on trying the hard ones, practicing till strength and accuracy become one with the daring leap into transcendence. And in fact, we can't live like that. We take on everything at once. Before we've even begun to read or mark time, we're forced to begin in the midst of the hardest movement, the one already sounding as we are born." Isn't that so true? We join the song of life when it is already sounding. Much of life is beyond our control, beyond our understanding even. We don't control what family we are born into or what social or economic strata. There are illnesses, accidents, and encounters that have nothing to do with our free will. There are 7.7 billion other people in the world. But still, we take up our instrument, which is ourselves, and we begin to play our part. And in the cacophony of the world's music, we begin to recognize our own sound if we pay close enough attention. You know, I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan in general, but there are a few exceptions worth noting. One is the movie Spanglish, which I love, and one is select scenes, not the whole movie, select scenes from the movie Billy Madison. Have you seen it? Okay. So for those of you who haven't, Sandler plays a rich and spoiled man-child named Billy Madison, who spends his days drinking and partying. When his wealthy father becomes fed up with his son's irresponsibility, he gives him an ultimatum. Since Billy passed all of his schooling thanks to his dad bribing his teachers, Billy must retake and pass every grade over again, or else the family business will be turned over to someone else. Billy's dad gives him 2 weeks to pass each grade, totaling 24 weeks for his son's hopeful transformation. So Billy starts over again in the first grade and progresses from there. As you can imagine, this provides some pretty humorous scenes, including school lunch trades and games of dodgeball. He progresses quickly through elementary school as one of the cool kids. But when he seeks to redo high school, he has a tougher time. The kids are mean to him, and they pick on him. They prank him and put disgusting things in his locker. This leads Billy Madison to think back on his own high school years and all of the kids that he used to pick on as one of the school's most popular bullies. Billy decides to call some of his old classmates to apologize. He calls up one guy named Danny McGrath. "Hello, is this Danny? Danny McGrath," he says. "Yeah." "The Danny McGrath who graduated Nib High School in 1984? Yeah, who's this? This is Billy Madison. You probably don't remember me, but I went to high school with you, and I kind of gave you a hard time back then, and I did some things I thought were funny at the time, and I realized they were just mean and stupid, and I just called to apologize, and I hope you forgive me. Yeah, sure, says Stanley. Don't worry about it. It's no problem. Wow, that's great, says Billy, glad that the call had gone better than expected. Well, I am sorry, and maybe we can get together sometime and have a coffee. Yeah, sure, I'd like that. Okay, great. I'll see you around. Okay, bye. Danny hangs up the phone, reaches down and grabs a marker, and uses it to cross Billy Madison's name off of a list on his wall titled People to Kill. Like I said, I don't like Adam Sandler movies, but this scene has always stayed with me. Maybe we don't all have to go back and spend 2 weeks in each year of grade school. Thank God we don't. But this task of taking a moral inventory, of being searching and fearless about it, wow. I think it's an amazing assignment. Maybe it will lead to some apologies. Maybe it will lead to some healing. Maybe it will lead to more questions than answers. But how powerful, even to ask the questions. Poet William Stafford writes, "Sometime when the river is ice, ask me mistakes I have made. Ask me whether what I have done is my life. Others have come in their slow way into my thought, and some have tried to help or to hurt. Ask me what difference their strongest love or hate has made. I will listen to what you say. You and I can turn and look at the silent river and wait. We know the current is there, hidden, and there are comings and goings from miles away that hold the stillness exactly before us. What the river says, that is what I say." In a journaling exercise about this poem, students are asked to think about a situation in your life that feels frozen, stuck, immobile. Imagine that you can feel into the comings and goings from miles away that are working underground, beneath the surface, past the obvious. What shifts for you when you think about the hidden, even invisible process that may be at work? Rachel Held Evans died this year. She was a young and popular progressive Christian writer and speaker. In one of her books, Searching for Sunday, she wrote, "At its best, the church functions much like a recovery group, a safe place where a bunch of struggling, imperfect people come together to speak difficult truths to one another. Sometimes the truth is we have sinned as individuals. Sometimes the truth is we have sinned corporately as a people. Sometimes the truth is we're hurting because of another person's sin or as a result of forces beyond our control. Sometimes the truth is we're just hurting, and we're not even sure why. So, if at best church is like a recovery program, perhaps you will be willing to pray with me now. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. May each of us endeavor to make a searching and fearless inventory of our lives. And may this space be a safe place where a bunch of struggling, imperfect people can come together to speak difficult truths to one another. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.